Good morning. Welcome. It's Saturday. It's Saturday morning, about 9:15. We are with you live on the Inside Edge Network. This is Illegal Formation. I got my man TK Dandridge. I'm Chad Bryan. You know me. You know TK. TK, what's going on, man?
Happy Saturday, CB. Just waking up as a few minutes ago, but ready to get it on. We've got a big game today.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll live up to its billing today. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, well, listen, this isn't quite the matchup we all circled back in August, right? Like when you're looking at Ohio State's schedule back at the beginning of the season, you said, hey man, here's a game against number two. Penn State was number two. Remember, they were national title contenders. Um, Not anymore. Not anymore. They're 3-4 right now. They're coming in a whole different world than they were, 10, 12 weeks ago. But hey, life comes at you fast sometimes, right? You got to be ready for it.
Talking about
And
it.
I don't know. Penn State is not a national title contender at this point. Like I said, they're 3-4. Ohio State, complete different, just absolute opposite ends of the spectrum. They're 7-0. They're number one in the nation. Well deserved number one. I know people like to say they haven't played anybody. I mean, who really has played anybody at this point? I mean, this is the reason that there's a 12-team playoff now. You got to take it easy with the schedules. I get so tired of like this team's schedule is better than that team's schedule. My personal opinion is I give it 1.8 points high. Who cares? Like, who cares what you think, right? The season has to play out the way it has to play out. It doesn't matter what you think about their schedule or your opinion on anything. I mean, it's so silly to argue on social media. I mean, the coaches and the media representatives that vote on these polls vote the way they vote for a reason. I mean, hopefully they get to watch most of these teams play. I know the coaches don't see, you know, every game. You can't see every game when you're coaching on Saturday. I get that. They're probably not going home and watching 42 other games on DVR either, to see who their top 50
Right.
teams in the nation are. But obviously, you're going to be watching your own team's film, and you're going to be watching film for whoever, maybe an opponent you have coming up or something like that. Or in the case of Michigan, maybe you're watching film that Connor Stallions had recorded in the prior weeks illegally. Whatever, doesn't matter. Um, but stealing signs is legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but advanced
Everyone
scouting
does
is
it.
not legal. So stop saying that. It doesn't matter. I just like to have a little fun. It's over. But I don't know if you saw Central Michigan actually got in a little bit of trouble for that whole situation where Stallions was on the sidelines, even though Michigan fans will tell you that never happened. The NCAA ruled they took a fine, and I don't know, they got some things. It doesn't matter. For some reason, also last week, I guess we can say, since we're talking about it, Sharon Moore and Michigan decided to withdraw the appeal. So they're no longer fighting. What were they fighting? The fines? I don't understand. I mean, what's
Well,
the point
that's
of appealing it and then pulling it? I don't get
yeah,
that. Might as well just keep the
exactly.
appeal. I don't know.
Exactly. I mean, they knew they were guilty. I mean, I really don't think it's going to come in measures of them having their championship vacated
No.
at all. To be quite honest, I think it's may not be too late. But as far as I'm concerned, it's been a little too much time that's gone by for you to vacate a championship. It's just like, listen, man, just go ahead and let them have it.
I don't think
I
any of
don't
it
know
should be
one.
vacated. Yeah, exactly.
I really don't know one school that honestly doesn't steal signs from time to time. Now, I can see if they were there, recording entire practices and things like that. That's a little bit extreme. But as far as the sign stealing and things like that, I really don't think it's that big of a deal. Just give them a
No.
fine. No.
I mean, things like this have been going on since competition was started. I mean, I think teams have always been trying to gain some kind of competitive advantage, and there have always been teams that have, I guess, pushed the envelope a little bit, maybe gone too far. I mean, look at the Astros. And I think we've talked about it before. It would make me a little more comfortable, I guess, if some of these teams would just admit it, right? If the Astros would have said, like I said before, hey, we're a multi-million, if not a billion-dollar organization. There's a lot of jobs on the line, a lot of people's livelihoods on the line. We really wanted to make sure, job security was a thing all throughout the organization, all throughout. We pushed it a little bit too far. We wanted to win. We just pushed it a little bit too far, and we did it. We're guilty. We won't do it again. Whatever you want to say. It's just better, I think, than just a flat out denial. I think it just, I don't know, it kind of leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And I think maybe Michigan would have been a little better off just admitting it.
Yeah.
This thing wouldn't have dragged out as long as it did, and I don't know that they would be. It's not like the NCAA thinks they didn't do it. They're clearly fined, millions and millions and millions of dollars. They've lost some scholarships. They've lost some things. I don't think they're ever going to have the championship vacated. I don't think that was ever going to be a thing, even if they did admit to it. So I don't know. Maybe you just save face and go, "Hey, we did it," whatever. But I guess that didn't happen. It's fine. Anyway, the Ohio State-Penn State game is today at noon. That's on Fox. So if you have YouTube TV like me, you don't have to worry about being blacked out of this game because YouTube TV and Disney are in a fight again over money, right? Man, we can talk about this. We're actually going to talk about this a little bit tomorrow on the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland Browns and NFL pregame show. We don't have to get into it today. But just briefly, I'm so tired of this process. I'm tired of getting these emails. It's like, hey, by the way, we're squabbling over, I don't know how much money you pay. I pay. I don't know how much I pay. $75, $80 a month, I think, for YouTube TV, times millions of subscribers. I think there's enough money for everybody. We don't have to do this every 5 months. We don't have to pull programming off the streaming network so no one can watch college football game. This stuff gets so old to me. Whatever. But yeah, anyway, this one kicks off today on Fox at noon. Whatever. Ohio State's a 19.5-point favorite. Like I said, this is not the matchup that we all circled back in August. It's not number 1 versus number 2. It's not even a top 10 matchup. There's no James Franklin. He's not going to have to worry about losing another matchup with a top 5 team, which again, I've said on the show before, does not make him a bad person. Just, makes him a football coach who was unable to get over that hump. That was about it. But I think you could look at this game in another way. I mean, Jim Knowles is still there, right? That's our old defensive coordinator is still in Happy Valley, and I'm sure he's looking at this game in some type of way. I'm almost positive he's going to want some type of revenge, redemption, whatever. He feels slighted by Ohio State for whatever reason. He didn't get the contract extension he wanted. 7 minutes after they won a national championship last year. I guess that was a big problem for him. I don't know. I mean, I don't really know exactly why he left the way he did. But he did. So I'm sure he wants to see his defense have a good showing and, maybe hopefully even come away with a W. They haven't beaten Ohio State since 2016. Do you think he can do? Do you think his defense is able to hold Ohio State back enough to get the Nittany Lions a win today? I mean, should we be worried about that? I mean, Penn State always plays Ohio State tough, right?
Very true. I definitely think that while Penn State has a decent collection of talent as far as the defensive side of the ball goes, this is still a defense that gave up 42 points to the University of California in Los Angeles and Nico Iamaleava, or whatever the hell his last name is. This is a team that averaged 14 points per game before their matchup. And they went down to Southern Cal and just got the doors blown off them. Granted, they made a valiant effort to come back. I really don't think much of this defensive unit that Jim Knowles has adopted. Granted, a lot of the blame has to go on him as well. You are the one pulling the triggers, calling the plays, and setting up the formations and substitutions and whatnot, and they just have not worked out. Obviously, the big injury to Drew Aller is a stinker all on its own. Yeah. But even more so, that defense wasn't able to keep them afloat. They had to score 35 to 40 points plus to possibly win, and even that wasn't enough in most cases. So, yeah, I really don't see much of that.
Yeah, I mean, back-to-back tough losses to teams that, probably shouldn't. I mean, along with UCLA, I mean, you got to throw that one in there too. But I'm just looking at the 1-point losses to Northwestern and Iowa the last couple of times they've been out. I think Ethan Grunkemeyer, their starting quarterback now since Drew Aller is out, I think he threw for 93 yards against Iowa. You would have to think Ohio State and Matt Patricia are looking at that and feeling pretty good about themselves and about their chances to slow down this Penn State offense. I mean, they've got a couple of pretty good running backs. I just don't think that – I don't think Penn State has enough firepower, and I don't think they have the defensive prowess to really slow Ohio State down and to match those two things up to pick up a win today. I don't know. I'm sure head coach Terry Smith will have – I'm sure he's got things planned to try to make life tough for Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. You got to look at it this way too. Penn State has been pretty I don't know, pretty good against pass, right? On defense, they've been pretty good against the pass. Haven't stopped the run that well, but the Buckeyes haven't really been able to run the ball that well. For whatever reason, they can't get it going. I don't know if it's an offensive line thing, if it's a scheme thing. I mean, it seems like Chip Kelly came in last year, kind of fixed the running game, had some, so that the zone, I don't know, the man zone, whatever. I don't know. He had some things that they were he tricks up his sleeve, I guess you could say, that I think helped Ohio State be a little more effective in the run game. And they just, for some reason, haven't had it this year. Obviously, Julian Saint's been fine. His last outing against Wisconsin, they went 34-0. He went 36 for 42 for almost 400 yards, a career high, threw 4 touchdown passes. So he looks like he's starting to feel more comfortable and like he's growing into that offense a little more. I think they trust him, a little bit more than obviously they did at the beginning of the season when they was sort of, kept him bracketed a little bit in that Texas game. Which people like to point at, Buckeyes only scored 14 points against the team now that, Texas is kind of falling apart for the most part. But at the time, that was a top 5 matchup. I mean, Texas was the number 1 team in the nation. And I think Ohio State was just kind of playing safe. You got a brand new quarterback. He's a, first time starter. I don't think you just let him go out there. And I mean, it's not a video game, right? You don't just throw deep 50 times and hope for the best. I think they definitely, probably had an eye on saying a little bit, and he was probably a little more bracketed then. But yeah, I mean, Penn State is 6th in the country against the pass, but just 91st against the run. So you would have to think today would be a day that Ohio State would really like to go out there and try to establish the running game, get something going with Bo Jackson, C.J. Donaldson, some combination of those backs that they have. They have stable backs. They're in pretty good shape. They got a lot of fresh legs they can throw in there. One thing I have questions on the offensive line. I don't know if you're a Tegra Shabola guy or a Joshua Padilla guy at right guard, but I mean, Padilla is it kind of seems poised to end up taking Tegra Shabola's job as the season goes on. Padilla hasn't played a ton, but I think in 35 pass blocking snaps, he hasn't allowed a single quarterback pressure since he's been in there a little bit and playing a little more lately. Shabola has allowed 8 in 169 such situations. So just for comparison's sake, I mean, it seems like Padilla has a little bit better handle on that right guard spot. I mean, Shabola was really, really good last year, especially down the stretch. I mean, you know how good the offensive line was.
Yeah.
They rode him right to a national title. I mean, they were excellent. But it seems like Padilla maybe might be starting to get the upper hand in that one. I mean, do you have a preference there? I just really want whoever's going to go get the job done on the field. I don't really care who it is, what the name on the back of the jersey is. I just want him to get the job done, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I definitely think Tishabola has done a decent job as their starter. They see no reason to pull him out just yet. I do understand the pass pro numbers are a bit misleading. I still think Tishabola is decent in that area. May not be his strongest suit, and Padilla is probably the better pass blocker of the two. I definitely see him competing for a starting job next season. I definitely think he will more than likely be the starting right guard for the Ohio State Buckeyes next season. I definitely think that is Tishabola's job to lose, but he hasn't done anything really to lose that job just yet. So I think they're going to go ahead and ride the season out. Unless something bad happens, unless, he completely falls off and has one of those nightmare performances where it's just like, okay, we got to bench this guy and see what we have. And the guy that's behind him, Padilla. But I really don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I definitely think he's going to have a solid hold on the job, and they're going to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely hasn't played poorly. It's just that when Padilla's been in there, he seems to have played just a little bit better. I guess it's a good problem to have, right?
Yes, very good problem.
You don't want to complain about that, but I don't know. I mean, I just don't see. Do you think Jim Knowles is going to be? I mean, do you think maybe a little bit too much? I think sometimes you can have a little bit too much of a chip on your shoulder, come out too emotional. I just never really saw him in 3 years with the Buckeyes. I never really saw him do anything that I was just overly impressed with, as far as pointing at a single thing and saying, "Hey, that's Jim Knowles. That's Jim Knowles' defense that did that." It seemed like the change happened last year after that Oregon game when Ryan Day supposedly, allegedly, whatever, the rumors were that Ryan Day stepped in and started to pay a little bit more attention to the defense. And that seems to be when they kind of became more of this lockdown defense that we saw in the playoff run, right, where they won the national title. Now under Matt Patricia, I don't think it's a concern at all of Ryan Day's. I think he can, probably work with Brian Hartline a little bit more. I'm sure they're addressing the concerns in the running game. I don't think they're ignoring that. I think some of these Ryan Day offenses have been historically maybe not the best at running the football. Definitely not a run first offense. It's more of a pass your way into the running game type of an offense with Ryan Day. I mean, he's a quarterback guy, right? That's what he played. He was a quarterback. He's came in as the quarterback whisperer. He was whatever. People call a lot of guys the quarterback whisperer. I think we called Hugh Jackson the quarterback whisperer. Yeah, it's weird.
God, I hate that goddamn term. I don't want to hear that shit ever again.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say it again. Quarterback whisperer, just because you don't want to hear it again. I think it's weird too, man. I agree with you. It's odd to me. I really don't even know.
Think of how many people have misused that term over the years, and it's just sick.
Well, like I said, we called Hugh Jackson the quarterback whisperer for
come on now.
For all that work that he did with Cody Kessler, right, with the Browns
and Deshaun Kaiser, real goddamn quarterback.
Just say in company. Just say in company. I mean, it's whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Penn State. I know they're good against the pass, but I don't necessarily think they've seen a passing attack like the one they're going to get from Ohio State today, with a quarterback in Julian saying that can make every throw on the field. I mean, it doesn't necessarily look like a guy with a big arm, but man, he can make every throw.
He doesn't look like much of a football player either. He barely looks like an adult. So,
he's a kid, man. He's still a kid. Yeah,
it can be very deceiving.
Absolutely, they can be deceiving. They have been deceiving so far, and he's got two weapons in Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. And I don't mean to put Tate before Smith, with the cart before the horse, whatever. But no, that's not even that. That's not what that saying means. But yeah, I mean, they're basically, their numbers are identical right now. I mean, they're 1A and 1B. Carnell Tate really making the case to be not only a first round pick, but maybe a top 10 or 15 pick this year in the draft. I mean, wow. It's last week, I think Tate caught 6 passes for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jeremiah Smith had 9 catches for 97 yards. On the season, Smith has 602 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. Tate has 587 yards and 6 touchdowns. I mean, they're literally right there neck and neck. And a lot of people, I think, wonder, well, hey, why isn't Jeremiah Smith getting more attention, as far as like regarding the Heisman Trophy or whatever? Well, I mean, when you've got another receiver right there on your same team that has the identical numbers, it's a great problem to have, but individually, I don't think you get the attention for the awards when that happens. And that's fine. I'm sure either of those guys really care about that. Sayin on the season, 156 for 195, unbelievable completion percentage for a first-time starting quarterback. I mean, that's crazy. Just a little over 1,800 yards, 19 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. He's played well. Again, the running game has been whatever. I mean, Bo Jackson's been pretty good since they put him in there. I think he's leading the team with 433 or so yards, 2 touchdowns. CJ Donaldson leads them in rushing touchdowns, but he has, I think, 60 carries for like 250 yards. So, I think they have to get that going. And I think they need Max Clare to step it up a little bit. Claire's gotten off to a slow start. 20 catches for 204 yards, just the 1 touchdown against Ohio University. What do you make of that? Is it a scheme thing for Claire? Is he just getting used to being used more as a blocker here? I mean, what do you think? Is there anything to that slow start?
I definitely think it's a multitude of things, but more than anything, I just think there are a ton of mouths to feed here on this Ohio State offense. You already mentioned Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, who are going to do the bulk of the damage as given, as they should. Yeah. But then we talk about the running game that somehow hasn't been established. I don't understand how that's true. When you have 1,033 yards, you average down near 5 yards a carry. But that's what happens when you play for Ohio State. We expect the absolute best of the best of the best, and then some. So there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, we talked about the 2 wide receivers. We think about the running back trio that we have: Bo Jackson, James Peoples, and C.J. Donaldson. These are 3 young men that split carries. Obviously, that's gonna be the throw for all season. So you got 5 names ahead of you already that need the ball, that contribute heavily to this football team, and that are going to continue to do so until they are gone. So I definitely think Max Clare has been off to a little bit of a slow start, but it's nothing very alarming. 7 games into the season, I'm not complaining about 20 catches over 7 games. It's actually decent production. You're not costing your team anything. You're not crashing out in the locker room due to usage or anything else like that. You definitely are a heavy contributor as far as being on the offense and making plays and being where you need to be. So, there's nothing. That's nothing to be worried about. There's a lot of people that you got to get involved on this offense. He just happens to be one of them. And like I said before, he got like 5 games ahead of you anyway. So the fact that he's been able to, get damn near 3 catches a game so far with all of those names ahead of him is kind of impressive in itself. So I wouldn't make a big deal about it at all.
Yeah, I mean, they've lined him up outside. They've done a couple of creative things with him. Do you think he's still a first-round pick? Do you think people still look at him as a first-round pick or no?
Maybe not necessarily a first-round pick. I'd probably go early second. At the absolute best, maybe a late first round. Maybe somebody would be willing to take a flyer on him. Definitely a very talented kid with a lot of motion. Can do both of the inline abilities and line up outside, like you mentioned earlier. So yeah, somebody might take a flyer on him. Late the first round, early second. But I would definitely go for a second to third round projection. An early day 2 pick, mid day 2, something like that. Possibly day 1, something like that for him.
You could get a steal. I think he's already, I think it helps him a little bit that he's already flashed at Purdue. I mean, he was their primary weapon, basically in that offense. And I think that helps him because it's kind of a, what have you done for me lately league, the NFL. I mean, you look at him that way, but knowing that production is in him, I think that helps him a lot. Any concern today? Penn State has a couple of running backs in Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. They've been pretty good. But again, they don't have much of a passing game right now. I think Ethan Grunkemeyer, he's just, nobody's ready for a quarterback like Drew Aller to go down with a season-ending injury. Again, unfortunate. I mean, I'd rather see Penn State at full strength.
Yeah.
Would have been fun to see him in the top 5, and James Franklin's still there. Whatever, it's not the way it's worked out. Definitely didn't want Aller to get hurt. That's unfortunate. Again, local kid, don't want to see anybody go down with an injury. I don't care where you're from, who you play for. I just don't know that Grunkemeyer is really ready to go into Columbus and upset a team like Ohio State with the defense that they have. I think Matt Patricia, I think he could feast on Grunkemeyer's inexperience today. I think that could be – I think Ethan Grunkemeyer could have a really long day. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't see very much from Mr. Grunkemeyer as far as his first few games have gone. Now, we could be expecting a lot out of him. Obviously, replacing Drew Aller is not going to be an easy task at all, but it's looking like, it's going to be even more difficult than we had thought in the first place. Obviously, Katron Allen and Nick Singleton have been very good. I'm a huge Nick Singleton fan. I don't think I've told you this before. I may have. I'm not really sure. I definitely think their run game is pretty solid. But again, against our defense, we allow 6 points a game.
Yeah.
I really don't see too much happening for the Penn State Nittany Lions today. I know in previous weeks, I've definitely been known to give our opponents the BOTD, the benefit of the doubt. But, this week, I just think, granted, it may not have the same pungent feel or whatever you may want to look for as far as being able to beat these guys because you're missing a few key players. Obviously your star quarterback isn't playing, so you guys have lost a couple of games, a lot of very heartbreaking couple of 1-point losses the past 2 weeks like you alluded to earlier. So obviously the win might not hit the same. A win is a win regardless. But, I really don't expect much out of the Penn State offense today. I'm sure they'll probably be able to get Allen going a little bit. Singleton may, chip in with that. Grunkemeyer may make a throw here or there, but overall, I don't see much happening with them.
Yeah, like you said, 93 yards against Iowa last week doesn't really bode well, for Grunkemeyer to be poised to come into Columbus to make a bunch of throws. He's going to have to make some throws because – I think if you let this defense pin their ears back and just really, normally that's a saying, I guess, that you would use to come after the quarterback. But if you're going to stack the box and just really concentrate on Allen and Singleton, I don't know that Penn State's going to have any kind of room to do anything against Ohio State. I'm sure the game plan is probably to use those two and try to control the time of possession to keep Ohio State's offense off the field. Similar to kind of how Northwestern played Ohio State last year, if you remember. Just a slow game. I mean, they used 23 or 24 seconds of the play clock on every play, right? Like it was just they ran it down to 1 or 2 seconds, snapped the ball, ran it for 2 or 3 yards. It over rinse and repeat, right? And even when they went had a few plays and would have to punt, it would still take up 2 or 3 minutes because it just, I mean, it was taking forever, right? In between plays. Not so exciting to watch, but I think it's a good strategy against a team like Ohio State that can score on you just in a lightning quick way. And if you feel like you don't necessarily have the offensive firepower to keep up, I mean, that's really your only course of action. That's the only thing you can really try to do. So I expect to see a little bit of that from Penn State today. I don't think Grunkemeier's going to come out and try to throw for 500 yards or anything. I think Matt Patricia could have a lot of fun today. If they can kind of stick to their game plan and do a good job of keeping Penn State behind the chains and not letting them get 4, 5, 6 yards of carry, which I don't know where the room is. I mean, you look at this defensive line; it's absolutely unbelievable. I was looking at some of Caden Curry's numbers, and it's like I think if Caden Curry were, maybe if he were a little more heralded coming into the season, I mean, we could be talking about him being up for a lot of defensive awards, if not maybe getting mentioned for a Heisman. If you remember, I mean, we've had a couple of defensive linemen here in the past 8 to 10 years that, have been mentioned. Not obviously in the finals. They didn't get to go to New York. They weren't on the stage for the ceremony, but guys that have had their name mentioned along with that Heisman Award. I mean, it's the best player in college football. It's not necessarily well, lately it's been it's the best offensive, it's the best quarterback. But I think if Caden Curry were a little more heralded coming in, he may have some of that talk. But
like CY or both of the Bosa brothers, or I see Vernon Golston so many years ago.
Yeah.
But then he went in the top 10 for the Jets and did absolutely nothing in the NFL.
Nothing. That was wild. That was so unexpected. I thought he was going to be an absolute monster.
I was shocked at how terrible he was at the next level.
Yeah.
But hey, it's the NFL. Things happen.
Yeah, it's tough. Guys are bigger, guys are stronger, guys are faster. Things happen a lot quicker. A lot more quickly, I should say. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what happened to Golston. But I do remember that was pretty disappointing. Then you got guys like Cam Hayward, who are still in the league, still making some plays. And, I don't know. You just never really know, I guess. Career arcs are a funny thing. There could have been injuries maybe there that we didn't really know about. Pain he was dealing with. Who knows? Who has any idea? I don't have any idea. But I guess, that's about it. I just expect Penn State to really try to control the ball. I think Ohio State's going to open up the offense a little bit more and try to. And it's weird when you say open up the offense more, that usually means they want to throw the ball more. But I think they want to open up the offense and try to run the ball more today. They're kind of in that reverse, situation where they threw for 400 yards last week, but couldn't run the ball so much. I think they want to run the ball more today against this Penn State defense. I think that's where they're going to see the vulnerability. But again, with a passing attack like Ohio State, there could be vulnerability all over the field. We don't, I'm not really sure Penn State can slow them down. But before we get out of here, do you have a score prediction for this one? Have you thought about it?
Oh, yeah, I definitely see the Ohio State Buckeyes coming out early, wanting to start fresh. Obviously, the defense is going to be a menace. I'm going to go ahead and take the Ohio State Buckeyes 31-13.
Okay.
Definitely think the Penn State Nittany Lions have some sort of resolve within them. They want to show that they have a spine still. We're not completely dead yet, even though we kind of are at 3-4. We don't want to, lay down and die and just let this season completely go by the wayside. But this is the Ohio State Buckeyes we're talking about. This is the clear-cut number one team in all of college football. I definitely think this is going to be a good one for the Buckeyes. 31-13.
Yeah. Okay. 13 points. I think, like you said, I think Penn State has a lot at stake, and it's not necessarily this season. I think it's building for the future. I don't think that Terry Smith is going to be the long-term answer at head coach. There have been some names, that people have kicked around. Bryan Hartline being one of them. But I think Penn State wants to show, they've already had some guys decommit, right? I mean, you have that when you have a coach fired and seasons are in flux, and the whole future really of the program is in flux right now. It's you don't really know where they're headed. Not even sure where they are at the moment, to be honest with you. So I think they do. I think that's one of the things that's on the line. I think they want to show that they're still able to head in the right direction. They're not that far off from the team that we thought they were, in June and July coming into the season, which I don't know, maybe preseason rankings are kind of silly. I don't know. I mean, it's fun. You got to compare teams. I don't know why people get so mad at them, but maybe it is kind of a silly practice to, take a group of guys that you've never really seen on the field and go, hey, that's the number 11 team in the nation, or that's number 4, that's number 26, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we're never going to stop doing it. So if you're one of the people that doesn't like preseason rankings, I get used to it. It's never going to stop. People say, oh, I don't think we should do rankings until halfway through the season. Well, that's boring, right? Like, you want to have something to talk about. I mean, there's always stuff to pontificate over and argue over and whatever. I mean, you're always going to, that's never going to stop. So get used to that. But maybe they are kind of silly. I mean, maybe opinions are totally wrong, and that's okay. That happens. But yeah, I don't think Ohio State has much of a problem. I know Penn State, and when you say 31-13, I mean, Penn State does play them tough. There's a tendency that, I mean, that game that Penn State won in 2016, I think Ohio State was ranked number 2 and Penn State was unranked. Were they not?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, so I mean, that happens. I mean, that's sometimes that's what you would get with Urban Meyer. He would won a lot of the big games. He beat the Bamas and the Oregons and the Michigans of the world, but sometimes you deal with a loss to the unranked Penn States or the Iowas, the Purdue's of the world. Yeah, I mean, you never know what was going to happen. Not sure I don't know what the disparity was there, but yeah, it seemed like Urban Meyer would lose some of those games in the most bizarre fashion. Made Purdue look like an all NFL squad. I couldn't stop that offense, but whatever. Yeah, I think Ohio State wins this one today, 34-9. It's kind of boring. I guess I picked the same, number to score as last week, but I think that's about where they are right now. I think they're just, I don't think they're going to hang 50 on Penn State. I don't think they're going to struggle their way to 22, 23 points anywhere. I think they're going to score some points. Maybe not super easily, but I think the game's going to feel a little more comfortable in the second half. They might pull away at home. But it could be a good game at halftime. Maybe, I don't know, 14-9, something like that at halftime, or 14-6. But I think, Ryan Day has been excellent at making halftime adjustments. And this team has been, with guys like Caleb Downs and Sonny Stitt, they're just so good at coming out and executing the game plan, whether it's defense or whether it's Julian Sand and Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate on offense. I guess coming out of halftime and making the adjustments and actually executing the game plan, and they've been good at kind of pulling away and putting these down, even though they don't run up the score. I don't think that's ever going to be Ryan Day's MO. I don't think he's ever going to try to hang 60 or 70 every week. I don't think that's necessary with a 12-team playoff. Go out and you get through the games. You're fundamentally sound. You want to see improvement. You don't want to see a ton of mistakes. You don't want to see, your offense get behind the chains. You don't want to see your defense give up a lot of big plays over the top or whatever. And I think you want them to tackle in the run game, just basic fundamentals, and just get to the playoffs, right? It doesn't really matter if you get to the Big Ten championship game or not. I'm sure that's a goal. But I think
no one gives a damn about that game.
I mean, maybe the people in Indianapolis do. I don't know. It's good for their local economy or whatever.
They're the only ones
they've got the Colts now, so it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
they've got Indiana Jones over there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it doesn't matter.
Now no one super gives a shit about that game.
Yeah. That's yeah. I mean, it really doesn't matter in the scheme of things.
Because what exactly is it going to do for you? Is it going to guarantee you a spot in the national championship? No.
I mean, it does get you into the playoffs no matter who you are. But I think if you're a team like Ohio State, I mean, they're going to finish, probably 11-1 anyway, at the worst. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be in there anyway. It doesn't matter. They don't need that game. A team like, I don't know. Well, I was going to say a team like Iowa or somebody, but the conference isn't split anymore. So it's really the top 2 records. So it's most likely you're going to see Ohio State, Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, some, Indiana or whatever, some combination of those 2 teams that are going to get there depending on who
I hate the way these conferences are set up now, by the way. They make no sense.
Yeah, it's a little
I,
weird,
I,
right?
I really don't like it.
Is it the 4 West Coast teams that are throwing you off? Is that what's
It's the fact that we call ourselves the Big Ten and we got 27 damn universities lined up in that damn division.
right?
It don't make no damn sense.
And I understand not wanting to change the name for recognition and branding purposes. It'd be weird if it were the Big 18.
You shouldn't have changed the format, silly Willy Walnut Head.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, hey, yeah, I think it's a little weird. I think we're heading toward, the idea of 3 or 4 like super conferences, like maybe almost like 18 or 20 team conferences in the country. I think eventually Clemson, if they dare take the step, I think they could end up in the SEC. I don't know. I think you could see some teams. It really comes down to Big Ten, SEC now. Clemson has officially not fully fallen off, but they're down, right? I think Dabo's when he's in. I think just his unwillingness to go use the transfer portal to their benefit. I think that's a thing.
Your
I think
head coach is entirely too old school.
Yeah.
Much as I love Dabo, he's way too old school. He is Nick Saban Jr. out there. All this NIL and transfer portal garbage, he ain't liking this at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if he stepped down in a year or two.
No, maybe not. Listen, you brought up Nick Saban. Now, I've been hearing some rumblings this week. LSU fired Brian Kelly, right? I don't know that was you said no already. You already know what I'm going to say. But listen, Nick Saban himself, he said if Miss Terry saw some of these numbers they're throwing out there, she might make him go back to work. Listen, I don't think Nick Saban's hurting for money. I don't think that's a thing, but
he's not.
No. But
wife may be sick of him, but look here, Peaches, I'm the one who paid the bills around this mug.
Yeah, that's fair. You think he has any kind of desire to get back? I mean, when in the days of NIL and transfer portal, and
you sit here and you think about it, that's the reason why he left in the first damn place. It was reminding him too much of the NFL. He hadn't dealt with that in over 20 years. He don't want to deal with that no more. You got to come and pay these children now. You will have got to pay these kids, and if you don't, go somewhere else.
They're going to go get them there. Yeah, you got to pay to get them there. You got to pay to keep them there.
Ain't no more damn impermissible benefits and none of that garbage going on. If they give you some bread, that is yours.
Yep.
And eventually they'll probably be yours for a few years too, if you get the right ones.
Yep. I think you have to have the right mix of guys who I don't think anybody. I love NIL. I love guys get paid. I don't necessarily like using it as a recruiting tool. I think it's, and again, not to, I don't think it's fair to say anything about Michigan's, I'm not going to talk about a freshman quarterback like his numbers are absolute and final, and he can't develop or whatever. But Sherrone Moore isn't exactly known for developing quarterbacks, right?
Wasn't he their defensive coordinator at one point?
Yeah, I don't think he's an offensive guy. I'm not sure they have a guy on that. TK, I'm going to use your favorite term. I don't think they have a guy on that squad, on that coaching staff that's a quarterback whisperer, buddy. I don't think they have one. I think somebody maybe needs to yell and get in his ear a little bit. Did you see him take a selfie with the fan? Did you see that? People were saying that's a bad look or whatever. Do you care about that? I don't care about that at all. I mean, who cares? The kid's having fun. He's a young kid.
Love when the players get involved with the fans. This game ain't nothing without the fans.
No, I thought it was weird that people got upset and bent out of shape. I was trying to figure out. I was reading through comments, like trying to figure what people were even upset about. It's weird. I don't know, whatever. But I thought it was a fun moment. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I think he'll develop just fine. I'm just not sure if it's going to be at the University of Michigan. I don't know. Do you think he might transfer out of there? Think he transfers out? What's that?
Where's he going to go?
I don't know.
Don't you bring your smack ass here? No. Don't come.
No. Don't want him here. No, the Buckeyes have their quarterback in the future. They have their quarterback in the present.
Yeah.
They've got all kinds of, Elite 11 5-star guys committed already. I think they had a guy, I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Isn't the young man from Louisiana State, Mr. Underwood? Isn't he from Louisiana?
He is. I mean, do you think he goes to LSU if they make the right hire?
That's what I was thinking he would do in the first place. I was surprised when he chose Michigan.
Yeah, I think he was originally committed there
because they had just came off the national championship not too long ago, so maybe not that big of a surprise. But
well, no, and if somebody offered you $12.5 million, it's a lot. I mean, that's incentive, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
all right, you got me. You got me there.
I don't blame anybody for following the money. I just don't think it should be used as a recruiting tool. I think I think they need to get a hold of that. I think it needs to be more of a, and it doesn't even have to be performance based, right? I just think it needs to be once you get to campus, like, we've talked about it before, maybe a little more regulated. So the schools aren't handing out money and saying, hey, if you come here, we'll give you $12.5 million. But that at certain schools, like there's maybe an NIL deal through a car dealership in that city, or whatever it is, a businessman, whatever it is. I think it's okay to have an advantage as these schools. I just don't think it's necessarily some of these schools print their own money. The athletic department may be in the red technically, but they're in the red because this money is going out, right? It's going out to players, whatever. I don't love it as a recruiting tool. I love the fact that guys are able to get paid. That's great. They need to be compensated for their time because, man, it's a huge time commitment. I mean, it takes your time, it takes your effort, your energy, your soul, blood, sweat, tears, all the cliche things you can say. And by the way, they're also supposed to be there getting an education. It takes time away from your education. So I think it's okay that they're compensated, but I just don't know that it should be used as a recruiting tool. I think I'm back and forth on that a lot. But neither here nor there. I don't know if I gave the score 34-9. Yeah, it's 34-9 Ohio State today. I expect them to roll. I don't expect it to ever really feel that close, other than maybe the first quarter and a half, maybe into halftime. It could be a close game. Like I said, maybe 14-3, 14-6, where it feels like Ohio State might be on upset alert, but then, look for the second half to change a little bit. And the Buckeyes will start moving the ball a little bit more and keep the Penn State offense off the field. Matt Patricia, by the way, has been very, very good at making those halftime adjustments as well on defense. And even adjustments on the fly from one possession to another. So I have confidence in him.
Don't go back to the NFL.
No, stay right here. I mean, why would you?
More head coaching gigs in the NFL. No more.
No good ones. Where are you gonna go? Miami, Tennessee, Cleveland. Forget the quarterback whisperer. Can we get the quarterback shouter? Can we get someone who can
Can we get the damn quarterback?
Can we have
that? You've been asking this same goofy shit for 30 years. Can we get the quarterback? I'm tired of doing this shit.
I can't believe they have. Well, they did stumble into. I was gonna say I can't believe they haven't stumbled into anything once, but they stumbled into Baker Mayfield, right? It took him number 1 overall.
And for some reason, he wasn't good enough. And now we're doing this shit yet again with 2 other kids that probably will never be as good as him. I hope I'm wrong, but
I would love to be wrong. I would love for you to be wrong. Nothing personal, but I would love for you to be wrong.
And see, here's the thing. I just didn't want to do the whole, oh my God, my guy is this guy, my guy is that guy. My guy is whoever got on that orange and brown. That's who the hell my guy is.
Yep.
You get your ass in there, you make some plays, and you help us win the game. That is what I need you to do. I'm not with this who's better, David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar crap. I don't give a damn. All right. When it's
David
love,
Lee Roth, though, right? It's
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, they still had bangers with Sammy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When it's love, dreams, come on now.
Hey, on next week's episode of Illegal Formation, Van Halen or Van Hagar? You know what I mean? We're going to talk about. No, yeah.
I just want to win.
Same.
That's really it.
Just want to see my team go platinum. I don't care who the lead singer, who the guitarist is. I don't care. I just want them to be effective.
Man. That's really it.
I get it. Well, I think maybe the new stadium fixes all that. We were joking. I was joking with someone last night. We were talking. Maybe the lakefront in itself is just cursed. Maybe they got to get away from the lakefront. They're gonna get out of there, go to Brook Park, get near the airport. Try that property a little bit. Maybe something over there is going to be okay.
Screw up traffic in the process, and then possibly hope for a miracle afterwards.
both ground traffic and air traffic. By the way, there were major concerns from the airport and from a lot of airlines that that stadium maybe isn't the best idea where they're trying to put it, but whatever. I mean,
whole mess of silly shit going on.
all kinds of it, but it doesn't matter because Jimmy Haslam's comfortable. I'm sure he's looked at it and he's decided that he's comfortable. I've told you before, I can't stand when he says the word comfortable. It makes me all kinds of uncomfortable. I can't stand it. Like there's something wrong with it, man. It feels weird. It feels off. But whatever. I'm comfortable getting out of here. I'm real comfortable with it. So yeah, I think we both expect Ohio State to cruise today a little bit. Tomorrow at 11, we will have the Inside Edge Network Cleveland Browns and NFL pregame show, and it'll be pretty Browns free. I mean, we got to talk about the Browns a little bit because we're here in Cleveland. We're here in Northeast Ohio. But the Browns are on a bye week. We talked about,
enjoy this damn bye week.
Yeah, whatever. That's it. Hopefully they can regroup and put some wins together. Shut up.
We'll see. Yeah. We're going to enjoy
trade deadline also is coming up, TK. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the show. We just passed Halloween. I think another thing we're going to talk about tomorrow. How much candy is it okay to take from your kids? Is it okay to, you don't want them to rot their teeth out, right? You don't want, you don't want, juvenile diabetes to be a thing. You want to protect your kids. So I think in the best interest of your kids, it's you get that candy out of there, right? You take one for the team. You make sure nobody else can eat it. Nobody gets sick eating too much sugar. I think you down that as a parent. You may not like it, but it's something you have to do as a parent. It's one of those things you have to do. So we'll talk about that on the show tomorrow as well. What else we got? We got. It's going to be a good show. I mean, like I said, you don't have to worry about the Browns letting you down on Sunday. You can just watch some NFL football. And we may talk about. We usually do a score prediction at the end of the show. We have a different kind of prediction tomorrow, so please do not miss the Inside Edge Network Cleveland Browns and NFL pregame show. I think it's going to be a really fun one. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 for Illegal Formation. I think for my buddy TK Dandridge, I'm Chad Bryan. We're out of here. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow on the pregame show. All right, bye, guys.